This slide is a continuation of HR metrics for innovation management. We're going to focus on this slide on the middle part because, as I mentioned earlier, the issue of information sourcing metrics is probably the most critical to really transforming the effectiveness of internal innovation management programs. If we look at the slide, 2 points pop out. The first one, the number of boundary points that are converted into investigative sourcing. What does that mean exactly? Well, to understand it, we have to first define what a boundary point is. To put it bluntly, when we think about who we call in to do the best job possible, we're looking for an expert. One of the problems happens, however, when we look at innovation as a whole, and we realize that innovators, as in true innovators, are never really experts in their field alone. They're bringing in the best of a new field into their existing field. And in this case, they're coming up against this idea of a boundary point. One of the best examples of this is if we look at the early 1980s and the history of Steve Jobs from Apple and the way in which and the reasons why he created one of the most sophisticated font software programs for its time and place. Steve Jobs did not come into font development from a software side. He came into it from an artistic side. And he wanted to bring the aesthetic beauty of pretty writing, basically, and beautiful script into computers at a time period when people were primarily focused on line programming and line programming for code. He crossed the boundary point. And what we see is that it's incredibly important to define what the boundary points are of the competencies of our employees, and then to help them push beyond their own boundary points through some consistent program of work.